Hey, welcome to Every Dull Moment. I am Greg Blythe, and today we have a very special guest. If you follow the show, then you know that we're located in Conway, South Carolina, but a native of Conway, South Carolina, born and raised, a new knife maker that you may or may not have heard of, has joined us for the show. We appreciate you coming out today, Brent.
Thanks for having me.
So we have Brent Nolan of Nolan, Brent Nolan Edgeworks. He's definitely someone I follow on Instagram if you haven't, and I'll make sure when I post this, there's links in the description. He has traveled to the show today to share with us some of the knives, and as my wife gets close-ups of his work, I really want to point out the influence of the Japanese cutlery we're all a fan of on his work. The very first thing I noticed was this, this kuriichi blacksmith's finish that just transitions into a flat grind. You will see some of the American touches as far as going into the handle, especially the full tang. But as you will find out shortly, there are even more changes coming to the art of this tool maker. So, Brent, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. This is super cool.
He has brought two unfinished knives, if that's correctly.
Yep.
And then one that is finished.
Yep.
And everything, and he doesn't just blacksmith. He sharpens them himself as well, and everything. And he's been a fan of the show, watching some sharpening stuff on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny, but you've been kind of my resource for like sharpening and like what stones to buy, this, that, whatever. So like this is, kind of fanboying a little bit.
So I'm more the fanboy the opposite way, because I don't make knives. The guy actually manufactures these things. So I went on his site to learn a little bit about this man who's a husband and a father of 3 girls. So definitely pray for him when you're saying your prayers at night. We know they have medicine for that. There's a lot of estrogen in the house. So that's probably why he goes out and builds knives and gets like a little bit of a break. But before we go into the knives too, I also found out that you're a big martial artist.
I am. So I've been in, and there's some big breaks due to life, whatever else, but I've been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since 2009.
Wow.
Muay Thai, some kickboxing. I actually, I say, part-time, but I teach as well. So I teach a jiu-jitsu class locally. So it's a ton of fun.
So my background had started off with all the Korean Taekwondo, Tongsudo, Muru Kwan. Then I always loved the Japanese culture, so I'd done Bujinkai karate, but my black belt is in Aikido, which Aikido it derives from Jiu-Jitsu. So we do all the joint locks, and it's all the smaller joint locks. So it's almost like just like a child of Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
there's more movements in Jiu-Jitsu, but
I think a lot of people don't realize that initial kind of like influence of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu on other things. So it kind of spread. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, obvious, there's the whole kind of story there. But
we love the martial arts culture.
100%.
Which definitely shines into the Asian culture as well, even though Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu derived from Japan. So going back to our love of Japan, you guys know I'm the big Japanese knife collector. And so this American knife maker is the first one we've had on the show. We've had some American knives, and some of you guys have not been a fan. and I let them know, and your voices have been heard, but I really hope that you guys take a chance to look at some of the stuff that we have. So my wife did a close-up, and one of the first things that I noticed was he has female customers as well, and so sometimes he'll do these shorter handles, which you don't really notice it's short if you do the pinch grip. You just don't need the excess, which is really nice. This is his Santoku, if you didn't know. The first thing I go to is just on the inside, this Choi shot that everyone likes us to get. It doesn't have that like square. It doesn't come down. So there's something distinctly unique about saying I want to finish it a little high, a little forward. I like that. I really love this blacksmith finish that you see on I just like raw and rugged. So we've got this Santoku, we've got this K-tip, and then we've got this chef knife, this little bit of a hamon that he has going on. Again, not finished. But tell us about this. You're currently doing full tang knives, but we're hearing some news now that we're going to transition.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of full tang, and I think part of that is just when you're newer, it's an easier end product,
Okay.
Versus a hidden tang. At least it was for me. I've had a lot of people, and it's funny because like being knife guys, the first thing you do, you grab it and you go, ooh, that's heavy. Oh, like the weight. A lot of people that are, my customers are first time knife buyers. They're like, okay, let's get away from the $8,
Yes.
grocery store kitchen knife and move towards something else. And in doing that, they want something heavier.
Feels more substance.
Exactly.
Like they want something.
I think it's a security thing. On my end, that affects edge geometry and this and that, whatever. But I get a lot of requests for full tang, and it's like, for me, I don't love a heavy knife. I'm not against it, but it's not something that I go, man, I just want a nice heavy knife.
So, so then I'm going to say it's a little different on this. Even just talking about the taper. This is a thick knife with very little taper until the very end.
Hold it back up.
We'll see a little bit thinner of a profile on the K-tip, but it's a little bit more consistent of a grind in its thickness. If you're doing this with the heavier vegetable, the weight is going to carry it through. Sorry about that. The weight's going to carry it through. I'd love to at some time use it just to see about wedging. But again, this is the Santoku and the K-tip, the smaller. The chef knife definitely has like the thick back, more of a taper at the bottom, but the grind is significant.
Hold on.
I mean, it is definitely... It's hard to get it to focus, right, honey?
Because you're holding it. Yeah.
So thin. Now, and when the commission for that one came in, they said, hey, I want a very heavy, thick, style kitchen knife, which I kind of makes my head hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
But with that being said, obviously I left it much thicker, and it's just more to grind, less work at the hammer, more work at the grinder.
I'm gonna let my wife check out the flat, which is great for chopping. And I can lay this down actually since it's not finished. I don't have to worry about the edge. So we have that belly for the rockers.
I was gonna say that's gonna hit both.
Yep, and then we got the chopping area that we like. It has a Rambo-esque feel, though, I have to say. The good thing is he was letting us know these are all kitchen knives. None of these are meant to be an outdoor knife.
No. Even, it's funny because I have to take with a grain of salt sometimes what people do with their kitchen knives.
Yes.
So, but disclaimer. So on something like this, when they said, "Hey, I want big and heavy and this, that, whatever," it's like, okay, well, the edge geometry is obviously a little bit thicker, just because when you tell me you want a big, heavy chef knife, I'm like, what are you doing? Are you like
Constantly doing spaghetti squash?
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know what they're asking for.
Exactly.
I have to ask the different types of steel that you use.
So most of what I do right now is in some of the kind of more available American high carbon stuff. So a lot of 10 series, 1084, 10, mostly 1084, just because there's a lot of reason in that. But
since I'm not familiar with that, this is going to be a reactive steel. Like this is a clean, put it away properly.
Yes, everything is. That's part of why I originally kind of took to the blacksmith finish. Just because it leaves a portion of the knife a little bit easier to care for. And also, I didn't realize, because I'd never been able to get my hands on any like Japanese knives, that I thought everybody was doing that when in fact it was sanmai. It was stainless clad. And I was like, oh.
There's some that are ironclad. Yeah.
In learning that, I thought it was just leaving that like the
So this is a mono steel with two finishes.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. So I use a lot of 10 series, ADC RV2, W2 if I'm doing a Hamon.
So for those knife nerds on the show that want to teach me and the rest of us what that is, I'm sure you'll leave comments and I'll pin the best one up top to let us know the types of steel and the pros and cons. We'd love to hear about the pros and cons.
Yeah, and that that is there's pros and cons, there's ups and downs to everything. That's something that I try and kind of take into mind. And moving forward, like I would love to be able to only work with like Hitachi blue or Hitachi white, or
is that something we just can't get in America?
you can't. It's super difficult.
I did not know that
Well,
was
and
an
that
exclusive.
makes a difference for those who are
Yeah.
like, oh, American.
Well, I saw
knife makers,
Takafu Knife Village steel at Blade Show
Yes.
a year ago, but that might just be like R2 or
So-
SG2.
I saw them, and with them, there's a lot of like VG10 and this and that. The only luck I've had finding either Hitachi white or Hitachi blue in the States are in pre-made sanmai from like one distributor, and I generally can't get it big enough to forge. So moving forward, I found a steel that I really like, 26C3, and they call it spicy white because it's kind of close to Hitachi
Spicy, really?
white.
I'm interested in that. I'll have to look that up.
I've got some stuff coming out in that. It's fairly close to Hitachi white. It's super pure, and it'll take a crazy hard like heat treat. So a lot of this stuff is 60, 61 Rockwell.
Okay.
So just first time knife buyers, I don't
That's
want
pretty good. There's plenty of people making softer than that.
Yep. I don't want blowing edges out.
Hand me one of those pieces of paper over there while we're talking.
So 26C3, I haven't done any heat treat yet, but I've heard that it'll heat treat as high as like 67, 68 Rockwell pre-temper, which is, that's crazy hard. And it'll take Hamones, which is something I really like.
Greg Saxon.
Well, it's just nice to see that a guy that watched the show like sharpened the knife and and you're getting that type of an edge,
And on,
We-
a thicker, and on a thicker steel.
much thicker
Because
and a steel that I don't even know. So
That's- we've noticed that being a thing before.
yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to know how I'm saying today.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of the stuff I'd like to work with, you can't get. And I actually don't have the ability to heat treat stainless steels. So
Okay.
stainless is, kind of off the table for me as a whole. So
Okay. So this is a full-time job. Do you do something else?
So I do my actual, I'm gonna say day job, not
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah.
So my day job is I'm a public adjuster. So
Okay.
argue with insurance companies for a living. But the
So
hour.
the moment you get home, you're like,
So it's funny because I've got a really good team. So once my involvement's done, my desk guys handle it. So it leaves a ton of time. So I don't say full time because I do this 40 to 50 hours a week. I do that much less. But this hasn't hit a point of paying the bills like the other thing does yet. So,
but currently his books are closed for
Yes.
the rest of the year.
yeah, at least until January 1st
Okay,
or
so
maybe farther.
your average time to make a knife once commissioned.
4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
Every now and then there will be a project that comes up where I'll go, okay, hey, I'll throw a Hail Mary at it and, block off just a couple days, and that's all we're doing. But I don't like to.
That means if you throw that little extra
Hey.
spinach.
Money talks and I'm listening. What's going on? I don't enjoy those builds a ton, and I just let people know. I'm gonna tell you 4 to 6 weeks. I'll keep you updated. I'm not super fast. Just
Okay.
it kind of
Any
is what it is.
price point ranges that we can kind of throw out there?
Yeah, so at least until first of the year, and that's part of being a new maker is I can't charge crazy money on stuff just because I'm essentially new. So like everything you see on the table there, sub $200 all day long. Yeah.
My wife thought of it. My wife thought of it.
We might be commissioning. Yeah, it's one of those things where, especially early on, it's hard to charge even what your time's worth, and then you hit the kind of point where I'm at, where it's like, I should probably charge more, but I don't feel good about it yet. So we're always kind of dragging the waters.
So the burls that we're seeing here as well, you have different handle materials I've seen.
Yes, so that's kind of a cool thing too. So I do a lot of, I say 95% stabilized wood. The purveyor is the word he uses on his website.
I would say that, yeah.
I source all of my stabilized wood from another knife maker here in South Carolina.
Okay.
So I almost exclusively use him for everything. And
So if I got my own wood,
Oh, we can make it
from
happen.
Exotic Blinks
Hey.
that I really like on Instagram. I like Exotic Blinks.
They do good stuff.
Yeah.
I feel bad that I don't do more stabilized wood business with other places because they put out great stuff. Dustin takes great care of me. I have a discount code for anybody else.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like he lets me push that. And even sometimes too, you know, like recently I have a batch that came in that he needed some Damascus. I needed handle material. So we just,
Everybody watches the other.
That's it.
So when people give you specs, you're able to fit those specs?
as long as they're reasonable. You know, some people are like, hey, can you put a CD player in the handle?
No. But you know, like Fujiwara has the loop underneath. Like this isn't something you're afraid of doing.
No.
Okay.
And
We got ideas now.
I'm never afraid of it because it's like the worst thing that happens is I just make a second one. Like
Wow.
Actually this knife. So I did the first version of that and cracked it during heat treat. The Hamon. I thought everything went well, and I heard.
I think I saw an Instagram video.
Oh yeah, I heard a ping, and I had 2 cracks, both of them about a half an inch up the edge. So I said, oh well.
That was a lesson learned.
Started again. One out of like every couple Hamons. Unfortunately, it just is what it is.
So if I sign up for the class, what am I going to learn?
So I basically teach it as a start to finish. If you wanted to come here, if you brought a grinder and a handle,
listen to the thing. It's not about the channel. It's about me learning. So I'm going to come learn.
100%. You would basically be able to go home, order your own equipment, and replicate the same process.
My wife's not going to let me order. We're not ordering heat treat equipment. I have a belt sander.
Put life right now.
Yeah, so I mean, if I had like the steel
knife room.
and and I was able to use your equipment to cut it out and then come home and grind on my own belts and then say, can I give it to you to heat treat and like that would be like a thing. But we're not putting equipment everywhere. Maybe one day when we build the shed out back. But so it is the holiday season. I know you're going to get to spend some time with the family. We're looking to it right now. We're filming a bunch of episodes to get through the holidays. I do want to wish you well on your orders that you're finishing. So we're not going to see the new designs till maybe next year.
They'll be coming out. So right now I have a local store that they kind of work, they push my stuff, whatever. So I am doing an event with them, and that one's really taking precedent. So I've got 30 or 40 pieces for that. Wow. And then and then everything past that is all just kind of order stuff. So a lot of the newer looks and feels will be mid-December through first of the year. So
okay.
Because you've got it coming. You're already working on all this new
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I just like today, I had a class. Actually, I had a class today. Part of that class was, I'm demonstrating, but I'm still, forging chef knives while we're all kind of learning.
Got to get it all in.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
Well, what about like this? So the class, like how many people? Like they're not going to.
Oh, I didn't even realize it's not like a one-on-one. So how many people?
So it can be a one-on-one.
But the price is different.
Just a touch.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you. Look out for you. I realized I did it with a bigger head count, and I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. So I've scaled it back, one-on-one, or even like 3 or 4 people. Like I said, I basically make it where it's replicatable. My process and the process we go through in that class are the exact same. It's not watered down or anything goofy. I really wanted to use it. I originally used it as an event to kind of get some folks together. But I really want to do it now just to kind of help like push it to people. Because I know like what it's done for me. So I'm like, hey man, find knife making. Like go make cool stuff. Like
Well, I haven't gotten there yet. I do want to point out before we go. So I know you have the Instagram, you have your personal and the regular Instagram.
Yes.
So the regular Instagram's at Brent Nolan Edgeworks.
Yes.
That's the Instagram. Is there a Facebook page as well?
There is. So Facebook, Instagram, everything is at Brent Nolan Edgeworks.
So the .com as well and you sell. If he has knives to sell, he does list them in his shop on his website. There are currently none for sale. I noticed today. And so that's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
That's right.
Definitely appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to be looking forward to seeing you again when I'm on your property.
Hey.
I appreciate you guys checking us out Friday nights at 8 o'clock. As always, we hope that this was not a dull moment. We look forward to seeing you again, and all the upcoming holidays. We wish you guys well. Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
God bless, guys.
Thanks for having me.